everyone. Welcome to the Animal Biology Course Selection Guide for 3rd and 4th years. I'm Alyssa and I'm going into my 3rd year.
I'm Julia and I'm going into my 4th year.
In this episode, we're tackling years 3 and 4 of the Animal Biology program. Whether you're narrowing down your interest or preparing for life after graduation, we'll help you navigate advanced electives and smart strategies for vet school, research, and beyond. From course planning to real talk about what it's like wrapping up your undergrad, we've got you covered. Alrighty, so moving on into our first semester of 3rd year, which is semester 5. And in this semester, you actually get to pick quite a few courses from your restricted electives or just elective list. You'll find in 3rd and 4th years, a lot of the courses that you choose is up to you, and you get to kind of customize your studies based off of your interests, which is really cool. So basically in semester 5, we'll have 2 courses that you kind of have to take in this semester or this year, and then you're going to have 1.5 credits, which is 3 courses that you get to choose from your elective or restrictive elective list. So the first course is going to be agricultural animal physiology, and the course code is ANSI, so ANSC 3080. And then Julia, how did you feel about this course?
To be honest, I really liked this course. I kind of thought about it as just kind of a little crash course into animal functioning and animal production. You get to learn a lot about the biological functioning of animals. So it's kind of a stepping stone from your structures of farm animal class in 2nd year in a way. You just get to dive deeper into the different systems, so the cardiovascular system, neurological systems, things like that. And it just gives you kind of an in-depth look at all of these things, which is really cool. It can be pretty content heavy, just because there's so much information in every unit. So definitely make sure you're keeping up on your lectures and reviewing as well. There are some labs that come along in this class too, which are really interesting. They're actually presented by your TAs, which is great because you also get to learn a little bit about their pathways and kind of what their plans are. So it kind of helps open your eyes to what pathways there are for you after graduation, which is great. Yeah, and the famous Gregor Betacarats also famously teaches this course, and if you know, you know, he's awesome. So we love him, and it's great. Yeah, I would say, honestly, really liked this course. It was really interesting and relatively easy to do well. I think there was 2 midterms, a final, and then you usually have a lab quiz every week or every other week. So as long as you stayed on top of the content, you were pretty golden.
Okay, awesome. All right, so moving on to our next mandatory course. It is called Introduction to Animal Nutrition, and the course code is ANSI 3120.
Yeah, this course is also super interesting too because it kind of takes you through animal nutrition in a lot of different production systems. So, I mean, we learned about equine nutrition, we did some swine, some poultry nutrition as well. And then we also got a general look into feed manufacturing, the process and everything that's behind developing a feed for not only livestock, but pet food as well, which was really great. The labs were also super interesting as well. You had a weekly lab, and a lot of them were pretty hands-on. We got to feel and see different feed ingredients. And then we also had a trial where we each got a group of chicks, and it was a feed trial. And we did the trial for, I want to say, a month. And we each had a different diet, and we got to see how those chicks performed on the specific diet that they got, which was super cool.
That's so cool.
It was a super hands-on experience, and you got to see little baby chicks. So I mean, who doesn't love that? Other than that, the course was relatively easy, I would say, to stay on top of, because the quizzes and everything were open book, which was nice. And then there wasn't a final exam too. It was kind of more of a final project. The only other thing I would say about this course is it is pretty Excel heavy. So it can be difficult if you're not super strong in Excel, but I would just recommend kind of getting the hang of Excel and how it works because you will be using it a lot. But once you have the hang of it, no complaints. Super good. I love it.
Okay, awesome. I have a question for you.
Yeah.
How would you compare it with the fundamentals of nutrition class that you take in your 2nd semester of 2nd year?
Ooh, it's pretty, I would say the fundamentals of nutrition is kind of more human based. There's a lot of human applications in that class, whereas this class is more animal focused, which is nice for us animal bio students. And I think the one in second year, the fundamentals of nutrition, also has a lot more like biological functioning.
Yeah, and there's like a lot of like different like vitamins and stuff like that. So
whereas the animal nutrition is kind of more focused, I would say, on like manufacturing and putting together diets. But yeah, it's cooler because you get to focus on animals. So in my opinion, they're cooler.
I'm excited. All right, so moving on to your last 3 courses, and these are essentially where you start working on your restrictive electives, so you can really kind of tailor it to your interests. So there's basically 1.5 credits or 3 full courses that you get to kind of pick on your own.
Yeah, so I can kind of talk about the 3 courses that I took in this semester. So the first course that I took, which I loved, is called Animal Health. So the course code is POPMED or POPM 4230. And this course is essentially kind of a brief crash course of large animal / farm veterinary medicine, which is so awesome. You learn about essentially all of the different diseases between, I think it was poultry, swine. We did some other animals in there too. And then you also get a bit of a crash course in epidemiology as well. So like how diseases are transmitted, how to calculate risk, things like that. A lot of biosecurity too, which is pretty cool to learn about. The cool thing with this course is that it's actually offered in a distance education format every other year. So if you're interested in taking it in fall 2025, so this year, it would be offered in the DE format. But yeah, I highly recommend this course. It was super fun. I think there was 2 midterms, a final, and then 1 smaller project. So pretty light and easy and really interesting, which is always a plus.
Yeah, for sure.
Additionally, I took ANSI 3090, which was an animal behavior course. I really liked this course. It was pretty interesting. And to be honest, there wasn't a whole lot of assignments to do. There was, I think, 2 bigger assignments and then the final exam, which was 50%. So it can be daunting. But to be honest, the content is not super difficult, and I don't want to say common sense, but it's pretty easy to wrap your head around once you kind of get the hang of it. And if you liked the animal care and welfare class that you took in second year, you'd probably like this course as well. So if that's one of your interests, definitely consider it. And then the last course that I took was the second statistics. So it's Stat 2050. It's kind of a continuation of the Stat 2040 that you would have taken in second year. And if you're looking to bump up your statistics class or your statistics mark for vet school, this definitely is a good option. To be honest, I didn't love Stat 2040 when I took it. I'm not a huge math person, but I found Stat 2050 to be a lot easier. It just made a lot more sense to me. And I think it's like structured pretty similarly to Stat 2040, whereas you have 2 midterms and a final. And then you have a few assignments like you did in Stat 2040 as well. But to be honest, I just found the content a lot more understandable. And the professor that I took it with was lovely, and he really wanted to help you succeed. So love that.
Awesome.
So yeah, I think that kind of wraps up everything that I took in third year.
That wraps up semester 5.
Yeah.
All right, so moving on to semester 6, which is the second semester of third year. Now, it is pretty similarly structured to the first semester of third year, but instead of like having 3 kind of electives to choose from, you have 2. Now, this can depend on whether you decide to move the courses around, which we'll talk about in a minute. But our first course we're going to briefly kind of, or I'll maybe talk about it in like a duo, is we have animal reproduction, which is ANSI 3040, and animal disorders, which is ANSI 3270.
Yeah, so these courses, if you look on the university website, these courses are structured together in the same semester in the course calendar. But honestly, I would recommend, and what a lot of other students would recommend, is splitting these courses up. So you would either take one of repro or disorders in your winter semester of third year, and then you would take the other one in your winter semester of fourth year. And the reason for this is that, to be honest, these courses are just really content heavy. and they don't have any other prerequisites for like any of your other courses. So if you do split them up, you won't really run into any roadblocks in your other semesters. So if you can kind of split them up and make life easier on yourself, why not? So I would kind of suggest splitting it up if you can and if you want to. I can't really talk much about animal reproduction because I didn't take it this past semester. But a lot of the reviews, like I think a lot of students find it really interesting. It's again just really content heavy and a lot of memorization. And it's kind of the same with animal disorders too, which I took in my recent semester. A lot of it is just about memorizing small details and really small notes on the slides. So it is, again, really content heavy. But I think there was 2 midterms and then a final and then 2 writing assignments, which the writing assignments can help you boost your grade, which is nice. But again, it's kind of a tedious course and one that you need to make sure you're keeping up with, or else you will get behind. And then the other required course for the semester of third year is NBG 3060, which is quantitative genetics. And shout out Andy Robinson again. He famously has taught this course for a very, very long time. So he is very good at it, I will say. He knows the answers to all of your questions and he's always willing to help you out, which is awesome. It is a lot of math, I will say that. Be ready for it. But once you kind of get the hang of it's really not that bad. There's weekly quizzes, which help you with your understanding. And then there's also lots of practice quizzes that you can do at any time, which also help you with your understanding. Other than that, I mean, if you know the formula sheet, like the back of your hand, you're pretty set. It can be a little daunting just because the final exam is worth 45%. But as long as you're keeping up with the material throughout the semester, you'll be totally fine. And you have Andy, so what more can you ask for?
I have a question. How would you compare quantitative genetics to like the 2 MBG courses that you take in second year, like MBG 2040 and 2400?
Yeah, they're definitely similar. I think just the biggest difference between both of them is that MBG 3060 is just so much more math. And it's basically a continuation of a lot of the topics, like breeding and stuff like that, but you're kind of applying mathematical concepts to them now.
Okay.
And you're it kind of puts you in the shoes of like a breeder and how you would go about creating a breeding program for multiple different species, which can be really cool. But yeah, it is a lot of math, but it's still interesting.
All right, so the remainder of our courses will be restricted electives, and depending if you split up animal reproduction and animal disorders, then you will either have 1.5 credits if you split them up because you'll take either one of them in the next year in your 4th year, or if you do keep them both in the same semester, you'll have 2 additional courses to choose from, so a full credit.
Yeah, so I can also kind of talk about the courses that I took in this semester as well. So first of all, I took ANSI, so ANSC 3170, which is fish nutrition. And it is also famously taught by the professor Dominique Bureau, which you'll probably have him a couple times in your time here at University of Guelph. He is an amazing professor. He really wants to help you guys out, and he's always open to chat about pathways for you post-grad, which is great, especially as you start getting into your upper years and you want to see what options are out there for you. So he teaches this class. Famously, it also has been online. Like when I took it, I had it, or I think it was a mixed format, like hybrid. So he would stream the lectures, but you can also go in person too, which is nice, especially in the winter when it starts to get major snowstorms out there. But this course is really interesting. So it's kind of like a little niche course about fish nutrition, which, I mean, I knew nothing about fish or fish nutrition, but I found this course super interesting. There's a lot of cool projects, but then again, it is very Excel heavy. So if you hate Excel, I would not recommend this course because you'll probably get really frustrated. But if you like Excel like me and find it like a little game, then it's super fun. I would highly recommend. A lot of his testing too is open book format as well, which is nice. And then there's also no final exam. It's just weekly quizzes and the projects, which can help you lighten up your course load if you need it as well. And then the other course that I took was ANSC 4090. So this was another animal behavior course. It's the second course following the ANSI 3090 course. And it's a really interesting course too. To be honest, I found it more interesting than the first animal behavior course. Found it more interesting than 3090. I just found a lot of the topics were more interesting. Like for example, one of the lectures that we had was on euthanasia, which is something that's not really super talked about, but kind of a cool thing to learn about. So I really liked that. And then it also helps too because a lot of the discourse was open book as well, which was nice. Um, so love that. There was, I think, two midterms, an assignment, a group project, and then a final exam. So it's kind of nice when you have things that are more spread out across a couple of different tests and projects. And then finally, in the semester, I took UNIV, so UNIV 2100, which is career ready. I would highly recommend this course, and I know you've taken it too, Alyssa. I would honestly recommend taking it either in like second year and beyond because I think that helps it, like it's more applicable to you because it honestly offers you real life and real world experience in developing your resume and how to prepare for interviews and things like that. I don't know if you have any.
Yeah, like I completely agree. So I took it in my like first semester of second year because I kind of wanted to balance out my course load with like biochem and all the MBG genetic courses. So I kind of took it and I really liked it. At first I was like, okay, I just need an easy class. Like that's the main reason why I picked it. I'm not gonna lie, but I actually like learned a lot. Like I realized, okay, my resume is actually horrible. So I need to make that better. And then also I never had a LinkedIn account, so I got to learn LinkedIn, make a bunch of connections, you know. And there was also an assignment where you got to like interview like a like a professional that you would see yourself like working like that profession. So I interviewed like a veterinarian and like we had a really good conversation and like in terms of like all the assignments, I found that yes, like they were on the easier side, but I think they were like things that needed to get done that I kind of just procrastinated. So like obviously I was like, oh, I need to update my resume. I need to update like a cover letter and like I need to start applying jobs for summer. But like I said I would do that like even like earlier on in the summer of that year and I never got to it. So this course kind of like made me actually get those things done. And all in all, like I would heavily recommend it. It is all online. There's no like exams or like tests, which was really cool. It was like pretty much all assignments. So yeah, I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, 10 out of 10. Definitely take it. It's something that I think is applicable to everyone and everyone can use. So definitely take advantage of it while you can.
Great.
And yeah, I think that sums up our
third year.
Yeah. Okay, so this is the moment you have all been waiting for. Congratulations, you finally made it to your fourth and final year in animal biology at the University of Guelph. So for our fourth years, the course selection date, as long as you have 12.75 completed and in progress credits, you can go ahead and start registering for courses on Thursday, June 26th at 8 a.m. And then in terms of what fourth year looks like, it's pretty open to what you like and how you want to spend your last year here. So for semester 7, you have 2.5 electives or restricted electives to fill, and then it's the same thing with semester 8. You also have 2.5 electives or restricted electives. So essentially, you can just kind of pick whatever you want to take as long as you're filling all of the requirements of your degree. So there are some specific categories that you need to have a specific amount of credits for, which we will get into in a little bit. But yeah, we can start with the first category.
Yeah, so I called this category A just to break down. It's essentially our liberal education elective. So I'm sure you probably know this by now and you've probably taken a few of them, but you need 2 credits total, which means 4 courses of liberal education electives. So if you go to like CourseLink or Web Advisor, and then you do a little drop down, you'll see all the lib eds. Now, you will probably have already taken one for sure, and that is the Animal Science 2210, which is the Principles of Animal Care and Welfare, and that actually counts as a little liberal education. So there's the half the credit there. And then in terms of the other 1.5 credits, you've probably taken 2 of them already. We usually do recommend you take 2 liberal education electives in your first year, 1 each semester, and then you're probably left with like half a credit left. Usually a lot of students don't like find it challenging to complete this one, as like a lot of the like elective choices are like relatively on the easier side. So for instance, like the univ 2100 course, the career ready that we talked about earlier, that could be one. So a lot of the time, like by your fourth year, you most likely already have them complete. It could be different for some others, but in general, usually category A should be completed by now, but if not, no stress. You do have lots of space. You have 10 courses. So as long as you make sure that you've already hit the 2 credits for LibEd, you're all good to go.
And then we have what we call like category B. So there are kind of 3 different sections in category B, and you have to have half of a credit from each of the following categories. So essentially 1 course for each of these following categories. So the first category is animal breeding and genetics, and some examples of courses in here is MBG 4020, which is genetics of companion animals, and then MBG 4030, which is animal breeding methods and applications. And then the next category that we have is animal nutrition. So there are a lot of options for this category. One of them that I've personally taken is ANSI, so Animal Science 3170, which is fish nutrition. Highly recommend this course. It's super interesting and relatively easy to do well in. But I've also heard really good things about wildlife nutrition, which is the Animal Science 3180 course. But I'm sure there's also a lot of good other options as well. And then the third category, or in category B, is the animal physiology and behavior part. So there's also a lot of options in this category as well. 2 options that I have already taken is the Animal Science 3090 and Animal Science 4090 courses. So those are both animal behavior courses, and if you're into animal behavior and really liked the principles of animal care and welfare in second year, I would highly recommend you take these courses because you'll probably find them super interesting. And again, they're also relatively easy to do well in, which is always great. Another course that I've heard good things about is the Animal Science 4100, which is the animal housing course. Definitely, I've heard a lot of good things, so keep that one in mind too.
Awesome. And then moving on to category C, this is our last category here, and you need an additional 3 credits from this category. So that is a total of 6 courses. So this is kind of the bulk of where we need to achieve all these lists. Now, again, all these categories, we need to make sure we hit all these requirements so that we can graduate on time. So it is very important that, especially if you're in your 3rd and 4th year, this is when you're starting to kind of map out and make sure that you've hit all these courses. Now, we're going to provide all the course code names up here. So like there is a big list of them, but I will list some of them. We do have some research courses too. I do have a few friends that have taken this. If you're into research or possibly interested in taking a master's, I heavily recommend taking one of these courses. It is very individual, and you kind of like are tasked with like, you have to create a thesis and you have to create like an individual like research topic and kind of go forward with that. So we do have Research in Animal Biology 1 and Research in Animal Biology 2. Their course codes are ANSI 4700 and ANSI 4710. But we have a lot of other pretty cool courses here. We have like computing for bioscientists. We have aquaculture. I do know one of our 3rd years that took it, and I did hear pretty good things. We have digital technologies for animal production systems, critical analysis in animal science, comparative immunology, and then we also have the structure and function in biochemistry. Now, this course is, some people like sometimes take it the second part. So we have biochem, I think it was like 2580, something like that. But that's the course that you take in your first semester of second year. And it is a prereq for vet school. So sometimes people that don't do the greatest in like the like first course will take the second part. And I've actually heard great things that this course usually like they do better than they did in the first like biochemistry class. So this is the structure and function of biochemistry. And again, it's biochem 3560. Then this is one that I really want to take. It's actually equine exercise physiology. Okay, great. I had the opportunity to do an equine internship last year on like with the Guelph campus horses, and it was great, and I learned a lot. And I would love to dive into the equine field. So if you're interested in that, the course code's like EQN. So equine 3250, and that's equine exercise physiology. But yeah, we have a lot of other courses. We have a lot of population medicine courses like animal health. I think we like raised upon earlier, in epidemiology, principles of disease, all the fun stuff. So as long as you make sure you have 6 courses out of this list above, then you are all set.
I will also add 2. So they do want you to have 6 courses from this list, but If you also kind of take extra ones from the categories that we mentioned above, this does count in this list. So for example, because I took both Animal Science 3090 and 4090, the 3090 counted as my animal physiology and behavior credit, and then the 4090 counted in category C, if that makes sense.
Oh, cool.
So yeah, you can kind of double dip.
Mix and match.
Yeah, fun. Just take what interests you, honestly, because it's your last year and you want to make it exciting.
Exactly. And I think that kind of summarizes everything. I just wanted to break it down for you. We do have I can see if we can input a little picture of this little chart that I made that is pretty helpful, but it essentially just gives a total of all the credits you need. So by the end of the 4 years, you are going to need your 20 credits total, so 40 courses. And your first year core science courses are going to make 3.5 credits, so 7 courses. Then you're going to have 7.5 of required courses from semesters 2 to 8. And then you're going to have your restrictive electives, which are categories B and C, which are going to make 4.5 credits. And then you're going to have your approved science electives. That's going to make 1 full credit, so 2 courses. And then you're going to have your lib education electives. That's 2 credits, 4 courses. And then you have free electives. So free electives basically just means you can take whatever you would like. It doesn't have to be any sort of category, but something that's fun and interesting that you would enjoy or interest you. So you need to make sure you have 2 full credits, so 4 courses of those 2 to total to your 20 credits. And I think that's all. We've completed the program.
Alrighty, so as you move into your upper years, remember that it's okay to feel both pressure and excitement. These are the years where your passions really begin to take shape. Take pride in how far you have come, whether you're prepping for grad school, heading into the workforce, or still figuring it out. You've got the tools, the experience, and the support to make your next steps count.
And that's a wrap. Thank you everyone for listening. Happy course selection.
Double whistle.